All right. So, welcome to my talk. My name is Nadia Planic. I'm from the Much Consultancy, and today you're joining my talk in regards of starting smart with Odoo quality in regards of ISO 9001 and the EU MDR compliance. Okay, before I jump into the talk, you will see the agenda behind me. We are going to elaborate a little bit about what is actually meaning to have this ISO 9001 and what is meaningful with the MDR in EU. The talk is mostly going to be concentrated around companies that are just starting. So mostly startups or companies that are just started with their job or wanted to transform their services into the digital space. I will focusing on Odoo as a standard system. So we are going to present how Odoo is a foundation for everything we are starting up in terms of quality. And I will give a brief process walkthrough on how the Odoo system is a perfect starter suite for your quality processes. And of course, a little bit of a best practice in the end. Like I said, my name is Nadia Planch. I'm the manager of our manufacturing team at Much Consulting. We are based in Munich, and we have also one more headquarter in Lisbon. We are having our customers around the world, so not only in Europe. And with my team of 7 people, we are focusing on manufacturing and all the processes surrounding manufacturing. There is a little QR code for you to download the slides that I'm showing today. I promise it's just for the slides. It's nothing marketing. We're not going to spam you. If something happens, feel free to reach out. But I'm fairly sure that you're going to be happy when you get the slides. And I will show also the QR code at the end. So if you miss it, feel free to do it at the end. So let's start. When we started to work a lot more with companies that are in the MedTech, we are noticing that a lot of times they're just starting out because we have a lot of companies that are making a product that is still in testing and not ready to be sold to the end customers. But already in that phase of testing a new product, they need some system like an ERP where they can also have all the costs of this product also in manufacturing. In this phase, they still have very small teams. So you have lean teams, but still high bars in regards of quality. But let's make it sure to understand what is in regards of quality that we need to consider. When we talk about ISO 9001, this is the base that you have for quality. So it's not specific for MedTech, it's not specific for any branch. It's really your base that you're starting out when you want to do some certification in regards of quality. Mostly it's based on processes and risk. So you are analyzing your processes within your company and identifying what are the risks that you can have while doing your processes. It's controlled, you have a documentation, and most of the time you are the one that needs to make sure that your people that are working in the company have the skills and are trained on the products they are providing for the end users. And of course, we have supply control and non-conformities that you need to make sure that you have in a system or documented. After you have the ISO 9001, you pretty much have a solid base where you can focus on the MDR. MDR is shifting the focus from processes to the technical documentation of your MedTech. So all the products that you are selling to your end customers. So it's a clinical evaluation, risk management, then post-market surveillance and vigilance, and of course the traceability through the system. You need to know what components went into this product that you are currently manufacturing and what is the serial number or the lot number of the product when you're done with manufacturing. And of course, in this case, we also have the supplier control where you need to know who are your suppliers, and most of the time you also have the ABC segregation of your vendors to know where you can buy certain components in which regards. So just to summarize it. ISO, very universally applied. MDR, focusing on MedTech with the products that you are offering with your company. And it's building on top of ISO 9001. The challenges that we always see with these companies, so as they are starting out, is in the beginning, the processes are really unclear. Most of the time, startups try to be very dynamic. They want to give to be very fast because the market is very fast and changing very rapidly. So you need to be fast, to be agile, to react. In this case, startups really miss at some point to take a step and think about the processes. They're growing exponentially and forget about the processes. So this is always, or most of the time, the first struggle that we are facing. We need to sit down, think about the processes, because most of the time we can make it more lean, more simple, more standard. Then we have scattered documents, so no single source of truth. Documents are all over the place. We have maybe Notion, because startups nowadays work a lot with Notion. Then you have documents in Notion, maybe in HubSpot, any kind of tools. So you have single sources where some documents are scattered, but not one single source of truth. And of course, then we have the third part that is a big challenge. It's the weak governance and broken traceability. For example, you have your vendor bills in one tool that you chosen at the beginning. Then you have your manufacturing in some Excel sheets, and it's very difficult for you to understand where it's coming from, what are the components that came into that. So, just to look into it, we have gaps in our end-to-end process. This is not. This is pretty much already one starting point where the ISO will tell you that you need to sit down and solve them. And in this case, we have to turn this compliance that you need to fulfill with ISO and MDR into capability, because you need to be aware that when you lean your processes, when you are ready to implement it in one software, you are also a little bit different from your from other companies that are offering maybe tools like Odoo or have similar services. So use this compliance to make yourself capable to be the standing out company. And for this, we can use the standard quality process in Odoo. Odoo provides with this quality app a really good foundation to make sure that you're compliant with everything you need in regards of ISO 9001 or even also in the later parts of MDR. What we always see with our customers, that sometimes they feel very overwhelmed when they hear the terms of ISO or MDR. Pretty much they think they need to overthink their processes, have more data than it's needed, and that's where they pretty much stand in their own way. Therefore, we tend to say to our customers, let's start with a standard. Let's put everything you currently are doing in standard Odoo. Let's start to work in it and then see where the gaps truly are before we invest too much time in optimizing the system or investing time where it's not needed. For this, Odoo has the possibility to enable to control your documents. You have the workflows, approvals, and the distribution with pretty standard with the Documents app and with the Studio access rights that you can also use. With the manufacturing app, you have already the BOMs. The BOMs can be also traced with the components that are used, and with inventory, you can also see how the components have scattered through from beginning till it was used for the production. And of course, with the quality app, you can implement the quality check every time the product is touched within the system. So beginning with the components coming in when you purchase them to putting them down into your facility, so in your warehouses, and after that with the picking for consumption while the manufacturing, and at the end with manufacturing having a totally new product which is then sent out to the customers. What is helping here is also that you always know what product is at which customer. So you have the traceability, so when you need to do a repair, that you know when it was manufactured, what was the components that were used, and also if a component is maleficent, you can always go to the vendor that you used at that point. What it doesn't enable is regularity and clinical judgment. So we cannot say that with Odoo you already have your approval for MDR or ISO approval. That's something that you need to do on the official way, but Odoo is supporting you as a tool to be closer to that certification. And of course, you as a company need to decide how you're gonna do the decision in case of a risk, or how you're gonna use the benefits that are that is given through Odoo. And of course, authoring of clinical evaluations. That's something I think I didn't need to further evaluate, because Odoo is not a clinical tool. And finally, automatic compliance guarantee. That's something that we cannot guarantee. We only can make sure that you have a tool at the hand to support you in this case. Okay, so let's see what the suite is pretty much concise. I already mentioned some apps that are going to help you here, but we have here the basic what you need when you're starting out with quality control. You have manufacturing. I mean, it's as simple as that. If you manufacture, you need the manufacturing app for your bombs, for your traceability. Then we have purchase, to have management of your vendors, to make sure that you can put down all the receipt gates that you need in case of a quality, and of course that you have a kind of way to know what vendors are qualifying. Then we have, of course, sales for your orders and your invoicing, and projects to make sure that you have the action tracking for the kappa, your internal audits, and of course review and due dates. What project is also giving you is, of course, also analytic accounting in the back, that you always know what's your cost and what's your profits when you are manufacturing within. On top of this is, of course, quality, with the quality checks and the gates that you are setting up for all of this that you are doing in Odoo. And then you have documents, PLM, e-sign, and HR. So let's see how it works in action. First of all, you have the sale orders that move from a quotation with an approval to a full invoicing process with the full documentation behind. Well, what does it mean? It means that starting with a quotation, you already have the possibility to get all the documentation that is needed from your customer. For example, we have one of our customer is working with clinics, where they need from the clinics certain documents where it's specified in which variant they need the product, until when, and what they need to be providing, because the product is a bed for the patient. So sizes of the bed, if it's going to be a like an electric bed or not. Then we have also the possibility to use this sale order for possible returns or the installed traceability, so we know what bed is at what site when we use it. Of course, on top of that, we have approvals internally, if it's a certain amount that it reached, or the customer can sign the order, in this case, approve the order. And of course, for that we are using the e-sign app and standard from Odoo. The quality app we can use in case that we need to provide or to ask for some documentation from the customer, because it is one of the control points. Everything is in the back connected with the Documents app and put down to make sure that you can always use this. Then, second part is the Projects app. Like I already said, the Projects app is pretty much your center of your manufacturing. Because you're connecting all of your manufacturing orders with the project app, you always can look into the cost of your production, with also what was it that was sold, and of course you can also see who was manufacturing it, so who was the assignee, and you have the timesheets, chatter, and activities in behind. In this case, we also have the e-sign in behind every project task, because you can also manage to have documents that are sent out to the customer via chatter. And with the employee app, you can always look into the skills that the employees are having. So if you have one task in manufacturing that are needing special skills, you can always look into the employees. Then we have the manufacturing orders. The manufacturing orders is pretty much also the centerpiece of your company in this case. You have the bombs with the components that are going in that are mostly lot or serial number tracked, and you can also link sketches or also instructions how to handle these components. You have work centers, so you can also define what kind of work centers can do certain operations, and within the actual manufacturing process, you can also link quality checks. From our experience, most of the time in the medical field, it is advised to do certain quality checks within the manufacturing process. You don't want to wait until you're done with the whole production until you do the quality checks, because the risk is higher that you have to scrap the product that you are producing. So therefore, this is always a little bit where you need to sit down and really think about what makes sense to implement as a quality check. As I already said it a lot of times, here we also have the app of quality, e-sign, and of course inventory behind, documents for all the documentation that you have with the bombs, and here we also have PLM for all changes that you're implementing with your bombs. So if within the production you have some changes on how to do it, you can also manage those changes with the PLM, and everything is tracked that you change within the BOM. Purchasing is pretty much also straightforward. You are having the possibility to track what kind of components were bought with which vendor. If you go into the vendor management, you see what is this vendor offering, like what are the products, and also what kind of certification do you already have from him, because you can add documents to the contact of the vendor. Okay. Then what were the lessons that we have? The lessons that we learned from this kind of implementation is stick to the standard. Because like I said, most of the time the customers are really afraid when they hear the term ISO 9001 or MDR. They think they have to overcomplicate it because for some kind of reason they heard it from A and B and C. In this case, we always say, let's sit down, let's review your processes. We, as a consultancy, are helping to provide the right software, the right solution to make sure that the process that you are already doing as a company is done correctly. That you have your inventory levels, that everything is tracked that you are doing, that you have your traceability end-to-end, and that your product at the end is delivered to your customer and your customer is satisfied with it. During that process, we can implement with Odoo regular checks. You can always have documents in every step that you are doing during the process. You have the possibility to implement approvals, but always make it in a reasonable manner, because at the end, the people in your company need to work with that system. If with every step they need to do another approval, another check, the acceptance is going to be very low, and they're going to go back to the old times or find a way to overrun your process. And that's exactly what you need to avoid, because when you once have an ISO certified process, stick to it. Every change will need to be approved again. And what are the common pitfalls? Like I said, over-customizing too early, documentation somewhere scattered on local machines, inventing any processes that are not within the standard that you defined, and lowering the people's acceptance because you are over analyzing your own processes or putting too much disturbance in the process. And of course, at the end, no monitoring or reporting, because if it's scattered all around, where are the data is coming from? Make sure that you have one system, and everything that you are doing should be in that system with as much as possible in standard. Okay, as a final part is, of course, the traceability. If some of you joined us last year, we already talked about the traceability. We as much have implemented, this is the first part that is not in standard, we implemented a module that is called enhanced traceability, where we make sure that all of your products that are under any kind of lot or serial number is fully trackable. So which customer, under which serial number, so when the repairs are happening, or if you need to change out stuff, so you have a circle of lifetime for your products. Everything is trackable within this. And it's documented. You see all the versioning of your bombs, and of course all the work orders that have been done. And at the end, you have evidence that you can always provide when needed for the certification. Then also, we have the vendor management. As our time is running out, I will tell you, if you have questions for this, we can talk about this later, or you can just look into it. Okay, and remember, Odoo is only a tool. It's not responsible for your certification. That's it. Thank you. Okay. I think, yeah, here. If you scan this QR code, you can ask questions, and in the upper corner is the QR code for the slides, for the ones that I skipped through.
They have to give you the good to go to speak because they have to activate the mic.
Right.
You can go stage.
Hi.
Time for questions.
Okay.
All right. Is the process you showed implementable for many customers, or is it also one customer specific?
It's pretty much all of our we have now 7 customers that are ISO certified, and we have another 6 that we are currently in the process of implementing it. So it's not specific to one customer.
Okay. Another question. Do you have experience with software medical devices?
Yes, we actually, 2 of our customers are selling medical devices, and we are supporting them now for 4 years. They're our customers, so there is a lot of experience that we can provide.
So no more questions.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.